PKN 288. We're all here.
We're all hanging out. You're still crushing those diet A&W cream sodas.
Yeah.
I am too. And I'm convincing myself that like it's not harming my water intake. It is. It definitely is. Like I'm crushing like 3 or 4 of those a day sometimes. Like Kyle, you probably put me to shame because when you get into a soda kick, it is your sole means of nourishment, effectively.
I drink these, and I drink unsweet tea with lemon. That's mostly what I drink. These things can give me heartburn sometimes, so I probably only drink. I'm kind of like you. I'm probably drinking 3 or 4 a day.
I can't do the sweet tea or the tea as much because like I like to just guzzle drinks, like whether it's water or whatever, and so I'll like forget that there's caffeine in tea, and I'll get like halfway into my 4th glass, and I'll be like, why does my heart feel weird? And then you know why. Then you're in.
I actually get decaffeinated because I buy it by the gallon, and like you said, I'll drink 3 or 4 of those, and I drink them at night, before I'm going to bed and stuff, and so it's decaffeinated. It's all good.
We're totally different. Wait, really? There might be soda in this house from like the last time we threw a party. It could be 9 months old in the bottom of the pantry somewhere. I don't even know. All I drink is water. In the morning, I have a coffee. And sometimes if I'm hungry, if I'm disciplined, instead of cheating, I'll do milk with protein powder, like just a little protein pack. But
that's fair. Yeah,
it's funny you mentioned like what's in the pantry. So we talked about the coronavirus a couple weeks ago, and we all gave our threat levels, and I said I'm a 1. Yours? I've gone from a 1 to a 2. Okay. All right. And I'll tell you why. I'm not worried about the.
Remember what I said.
I'm not worried about the coronavirus, but here's my thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's very, very communicable. That's the thing about the coronavirus. It only kills 1% of the people who contract it. The very old, the very
Which
young.
is about 100 times more than the regular flu.
Yeah.
Really?
Like 1% sounds like nothing, but compared to like a normal disease, it's pretty not.
It's also 1% of poor Chinese people, so like we're hardier than them.
People are dying in France now. They got money and cheese and
chocolat bleu,
chocolate,
yeah, wine, all the things to keep a strong immune system.
Universal health care.
So I feel like I could fight off this coronavirus. It'd be no big deal. It'd be no big deal. I really do.
I think you would too. Yeah.
If they offered, how much? I'll tell you this. All right. How much money would it take for someone to jab you with some corona right now?
$400.
No, for
$3.99. Move over, Taylor.
Fuck, $3.77. Underbidding each other. I'm not giving you any more than 10.
One penny, Bob.
No, realistically, if it really is, it seems like the symptoms are just the flu. And all of us are young and virile enough. Like, we don't have autoimmune disorders. We're potent. We exercise. We eat right-ish sometimes. Not really. I don't. But, that just means I've prepared my body to have to deal with that. So,
my body's used to adversity.
Yeah, give me 10 grand. 10 grand, pop that needle in me.
Yeah, I feel the same way. But here's my thing. I was listening.
You don't lose some weight.
I was watching some lady from the World Health Organization talk about how dangerous this thing could be and how the world should prepare for a potential pandemic, and then I started thinking like it's not this virus that I would be worried about. It would be like if this thing mutated into something else, like some sort of AIDS. Hollywood like terror movie, where it's like something. Did you say AIDS?
Yeah, mutates into even worse AIDS.
Okay, well, what I'm worried about is like it's kind of like how they made killer bees, right? They were like, we'll take this one bee that makes a ton of honey, and we'll take this other bee that's very hardy, and we'll mate them together. And what they actually created was like the meanest bee ever, who's very hardy, and they don't even make it.
It doesn't make any goddamn honey.
Is this how killer bees were created?
Yeah, it was an experiment where they they're hybrid
man-made bees. Killer bees.
Killer bees are man-made, and they escaped the laboratory and they ran wild. Yeah.
Oh. Yeah, they took
this African honeybee that was like really good at defending itself and very hardy, and they mated it with some sort of like honeybee from South America that makes a ton of honey, like more than the average bear. And they created the killer bees, which are very temperamental, and they swarm for like much, much longer than regular bees. They pursue.
Well, I vote against this.
I vote against it. You know how and like my understanding of it too, I haven't even looked into this in so long, is after they made them and they got out of control, they're like, all right, well, they are aggressive and robust, they're still not making much honey, but they're very angry about it. Very, very angry. I remember watching, I must have been like 11. And I was
Killer
watching
Bee
the news
Nightmare?
with my parents. And it was like a news story about Africanized killer bees. And you know how most kids will be like, man, I thought that quicksand would be a bigger threat than it is when you grow up, like that kind of old bit. I was terrified of Africanized honeybees because I remember watching the special and they're like, it's now contained to like these regions over here and this and that. And I was like, oh, even I'm old enough to know that that's very far away. And then it showed a graphic and being like, well, they estimate by 2004, they may make their way into North America. And it shows just a red horde of bees going across the ocean. Yes. And I remember laying in bed awake that night, terrified of being chased down by bees in the middle of recess. Like, just picture myself playing kickball, and then the teachers are like, Taylor, inside! And I turn around, there's just the sun's blotted out with bees who want to kill me. Turns out that never happened. I was also afraid of Jaws in my closet for a month after I saw
so
that.
what happened, there was a movie called Killer Bee Nightmare, and it came out in like when I was in elementary school. And so I want to say my bedtime was like 9 p.m. as a little guy, and this thing came on at 8 p.m., which meant you got to be up till 10. And I was like, please, Mom, let me stay up. Please, Mom, let me stay up. The killer bees, I'll get up. I promise I'll get up for school. And by 10 p.m., I was shaking with fear because like they swarm and like cover the family's house with like bees, and they're like coming in from every little orifice the house has, and they're stuffing towels, and the boys going into anaphylactic shock, and they've got to get out and get some epinephrine for the boys.
I watched that movie at the age you're describing. Is it
either it's an older TV? It's a made-for-TV movie. Yeah.
I couldn't have been 20-something when I got that scared. No, I had
emotionally.
I had like the same experience.
Like, I'm too scared to go to work tomorrow.
I can't make it in. I'm sorry. The killer bees. Have you heard of? But yeah, they had this graph of like, it looks like the weather map, how like the hot places will be darker red, but it was that like moving north and north and north. And they're like, by 1999, they'll be, and I'm like, oh God, they'll be here by 99. I'm never, that's 2 years from now. What are we going to do?
It's like the graphic showing Saruman slowly conquering Fangorn Forest.
Yes.
And knowing the devastation that's coming.
I remember the efforts they took to like prevent the bees from getting in. And they go to like, I'm like, oh, they're in a car. A car is sealed. This will be okay. But no, there's air conditioning vents. They run to a bathroom and they put towels. The bathroom has towels. They put them under the doorway. And I'm like, all right, now it's sealed. And then they start working their way through that exhaust vent. Like nothing was safe from these bees and their ability to go through little places. And
they're scarier. Like, it's very easy to look at someone like walk through a spider web or have like a wasp or something around them and be like, fuck you, pussy, as they're like, ooh, ooh. But, like, if one Africanized bee crawled into this room right now, I'd be like, I'll see you guys Thursday. I'm out. I'm out. Those things can just keep stinging and stinging and stinging. I don't want to fuck with it.
Yeah. So what I was getting at with the whole thing was, I would be worried that this virus that is highly communicable would mutate into something not only very communicable, but also deadly, much like the killer bee. And then it could actually be a real, like, legitimate problem. And I was like, like, what would I do? And I'm thinking like, well, I'd stay here. I definitely wouldn't go out. I definitely wouldn't even want like my groceries delivered, because that's just a person that I don't even know going to a populated area, getting my things, and then coming to me after touching God knows what. I don't know if they're even washing their hands. And I was like, well, how much food do I have around here? And I looked in the cupboard and I was like, well, this is a lot of food. I keep a lot of canned food. And I've got, there's some pasta noodles up there.
Soups for days and pastas.
Like a lot of soup. But I started thinking like, this looks like, if I really was careful, 3 weeks of food, maybe a month. I was like, I need more food. And so I get on Instacart and I'm like, all right, let's get 2 pounds of black-eyed peas and 2 pounds of pinto beans and 2 pounds of black beans and 6 pounds of rice. And
you're going to have a horrible smelling home. It's just, all right, what do you have for protein? What kind of beans do you like?
What kind of beans do you want, my friend?
The odor will keep the killer bees away. It's just
I got 3 pounds of peanut butter, got a bunch of crackers, got a bunch of canned corn.
And a pallet of Fiber One bars.
Yeah, hear me out, baby. I've got kind of a fumigation plan.
The looters will be terrified. They're not coming in here.
In shocking news, the bees have begun to contract coronavirus. and they can give it to you through their steaks.
So I spent like $95 on groceries, and I just looking at it, that looks to me like a good solid 3 months worth of food, because like beans and rice just go forever.
I got a couple of those like big tubs of like 60 meals a piece, like those freeze dried meals that last for like 30 years. I've got 120 meals like that I just like have just in case.
I'd consider doing that, but they're very expensive, like per meal. Whereas I figure like honestly, like 2 pounds of rice costs, I think $1.70, and 2 pounds of beans is like the same. So for like $3, I don't know how far that goes, but it's got to be 10 meals. It's
yeah, Kyle's invested half dozens of dollars in this plan. It should be foolproof.
Like you want regular, like from what I've garnered from the half-baked fucking YouTube investigation I've done on these prepper things, is that you want those like freeze-dried foods, or those ones that like you add a little water to as like the last bit of emergency thing, because they'll last for like 30 years. But before you dip into any of that kind of stuff, you want like what you're saying, like potatoes and rice and canned
dry
food.
goods.
That lasts a long time, but it's, not
canned
not 30
goods
years,
do not
like
expire.
freeze good. Yeah.
Like canned goods do not expire within any sort of reasonable time.
No, there's an expiration date on the can, but you think
there is. It's bullshit. It's bullshit. You can Google this. It's bullshit. 30 years, that can of corn it might be a little bit like, this kind of has a funky texture, but it's still food. It's not gonna make you sick or anything. So like, I just feel a little bit more comfortable if I've got, because if it happened, if it was like, actually running rampant out there, I wouldn't want to go outside at all and deal with any sorts of people. And
this virus is interesting. I was trying to talk to Filthy about this, but he didn't receive it well. The fact that it's not that deadly, is part of why it's a problem. You're able to pass it on to other people for 2 weeks, the first 2 weeks, and you don't even have any symptoms. So people are thinking that they're healthy, going to, whatever, Magic Kingdom, which is closed in China, but work with me. And, going to public places, and they're spreading it all over, having no idea. You'd think they're irresponsible plane travelers taking coronavirus on there, but they feel healthy. And the fact that it only kills 1%, that impacts how we deal with these people. If it killed 95% of the people, China would just plug a hole in their head and bury them before it got anywhere.
That's what they're doing in North Korea, by the way.
Really?
Yes.
That doesn't surprise me.
That's not a good
according
plan.
to the internet.
Well, that's true. Probably Twitch.
You know what? The internet has this really weird anti-North Korea bias, and I'm not. He missed me with that. That's intolerant.
Missed me with that.
Every culture is valid. I was thinking. Now you got me thinking about prepper shit. Like I was thinking a real good idea, like of like supplies to buy other than like food and water, is buy a ton of handles, like those big bottles of cheap ass like vodka. And I feel like you could really do some bartering with that, like just filling like water bottles with it and being like, hey, you got a nice fucking loaf of bread there. What do you want? And they're like, well, we didn't prep. We didn't get alcohol. Like,
excuse me, gentlemen.
And alcohol.
Yes, you five on the back of the truck with the ski masks. I've got a ton of alcohol inside. Perhaps I could trade a bit of it for one of your assault rifles. No, I see. Okay, then. All right. Oh, bend over. I
thought you'd never ask.
No, nobody wants to rape.
There are women. You don't care.
I've got quite the stockpile here of women.
I do have lube.
Yeah, can I at least get lube? Can I tuck you into a condom? Meet me halfway.
I feel like such a fucking retard, because in my head I was like, yeah, that'd be like liquid gold down there. Ooh, this motherfucker's got real chicken thighs, and I've been eating potted meat. I'm trading some vodka for those chicken thighs, but more likely than not, so I'm just going to get killed, and all of my wares are going to get stolen. How do you barter in an era like that? Like you have your main man next to you holding him at gunpoint. That guy's got his main man holding
snipers on rooftop looking over the.
I got my roof Koreans.
with the mustaches, yeah.
I don't know.
I don't think there's gonna be a lot of bartering if that sort of thing happens.
All right. Well, my idea is
a lot of rape and murder, and murder and rape.
Yeah.
We live in a society.
Until then,
and people who think that have no shit. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that in an actual like disaster, like a real disaster, where like there's no electricity and no running water and the shelves are all bare everywhere, that nobody's bartering. They're just taking and killing and taking some more.
Yeah. I feel like you gotta loot these stores. Like you have to be on the second wave of looters. The first wave, when the police are still active, you don't want to go with them. Once the police have disbanded, you want to be like right at the front door of Costco. Right?
Best Buy. Yeah.
You're stealing fucking.
I learned from New Orleans. Go right to Best Buy. You're gonna be able to barter those screens for bread, milk, whatever.
That was funny. Yeah,
I got 6 Red Bulls and a pallet of laptops, and it's like, you fucking retard.
I wonder where the red, I got me saying red, but I wonder where the New Orleans looters' truth was. I can't tell, right? Because when there were people who looted in other places, and they're taking all the bread and the milk and the multivitamins or whatever saintly things there are for you to steal. And then the New Orleans looters, they went to Best Buy, and the poster child for New Orleans looter was that guy with the Heineken, the crazy hair, like that he had like a tub full of Heineken.
What kind of hairstyle would you say it was?
Unkempt.
Unkempt. Nice dodge.
But it wasn't. Is that the truth?
Perhaps you could crudely draw it in Microsoft Paint real quick and show the audience.
I remember it a little bit like Krusty the Clown, right?
A little Sideshow Bob action going on. Okay,
right.
Yeah.
Wait,
I mean, it's always
one of those. I forget.
Yeah, it's Always Sunny. Like, as silly as it is, they hit the nail on the head with the looting thing, where Frank is like, they're saying these people are looting, and then they look at these people, they say they're surviving. What's the difference? And Dee's like, they're looting if they're stealing TVs and microwaves. They're surviving if they're stealing bread and vitamins and milk. Mm-hmm. Frank's just like, I don't know. And then it shows him stealing skis in the middle of the LA riots. It's like, he doesn't even ski.
The way Frank skis.
Yeah, he's trying to defend the looters because I was there. Yeah, that's so funny. Yeah, I don't know what I wouldn't want to be stealing electronics in the middle of a flood. It seems just like a plan destined to fail.
A bit counterintuitive, yeah. It just doesn't make a lot of sense. But it did seem silly. What I wasn't going to do is go buy a bunch of MREs because those are crazy overpriced. They're like $15 a meal or something like that. And the whole point of an MRE is that you're going to be like packing it, right? They're light, self-contained meals that you could throw in a backpack and have several days. That's what they're for. They're not necessarily for storing in a cupboard and like taking off a shelf and cracking open or anything. Like a can of food does that job perfectly.
Yeah,
Kyle,
and for 60 cents.
If things went fully wild, right, and suddenly the police weren't able to maintain order, would you bug out or lock down in your current location?
Oh, first I'm going to my friend's house who lives about 15 minutes away and arming up, and then I'm heading northeast to my dad's place for sure.
Okay,
can't lock down out here.
I would lock down here.
I'm the wrong
I think.
color for that.
Oh, I had no idea. I think I'd lock down here. I don't know. It depends.
You would be a fucking target in your palatial estate there. They'd be like, I bet he's still got food. Get him. The huge horde of people.
All right, we're going to have to install some sort of sniper tower. And then we got it covered.
You booby trap your front yard. They like step on a landmine. You have to be like, Jackie, we just have to hope that they don't know that was the only one. Step back, there's at least 2 more.
I wish I sighted in the 50 cal. That 50 cal sight is so far off that it doesn't hit the target at like 50 yards. And then it becomes really difficult to look, if it was 2 feet off, then I could adjust it 2 feet and then I'd be within a few inches. Because it's, 4 feet off, then I don't even know where to adjust it.
Okay, so what you do is put it on a table or a bench or whatever, so it's steady. It's not going to move at all. And then you set up a target out there. It doesn't even have to be a target. It could be a stone. It could be a knot on a tree. And you pull the bolt out. You push the release, pull the bolt out of the back so you can look straight down the barrel. And then looking through that hole, you look through and put the target at dead center of the barrel. Then, without touching or moving the rifle, you put your eye to the scope, and you adjust the scope until the crosshairs move to the target, and you have now bore sighted your rifle.
Interesting.
Kyle knows how to sight a rifle, and I know why he knows, and I think the story is interesting. his father told him, like, you learn to do this. And then everyone has to come to you because they don't know how.
Mm-hmm.
I'm one of those people that Kyle's dad warned him about.
That would have been useless. I'd be like, just shoot it faster. Scare them away.
Yeah. I knew of boar sighting, but no one's ever explained it to me like that. So
Yeah, it's super simple. I made a video about it a long time ago, and I explained. I want to say that if you have the rifle zeroed at 50 meters, it is also zeroed at 200 meters, or it might be 150 meters. I don't remember exactly.
223 or everything?
That's a good question. Now it would change a little bit. I believe I was shooting 223. Yeah, it's because of the arc of the bullet.
Yeah.
But I'm sure there's a graph online you could easily find, and so that's just a way of, if you don't have a big area to sight your rifle in, like a lot of property. Yeah, I got a 50-yard range I can go to. You can do it there and just know, and because of maths, that it's also good at 175 or whatever it is. It's going to change by the caliber, I think.
Yeah. And then depending what you're shooting, it all might be good enough. Like, I don't know, if it's a deer, you probably have like an 8-inch target where it's all good.
Yeah. The thing is, if your rifle is zeroed at 100 yards and it's off by 1 inch, at 200 yards, it's off by 2 inches now. At 400 yards, it's off by 4 inches now. So however much variance you have, that's being doubled every time you go you double the distance. So we always try to be as precise as possible.
But I guess what I was saying is, like, my range is meters. At 100 meters, I try to have all my grouping like the size of a quarter.
Mm-hmm.
And but I feel like whatever I'm shooting at is the size of a dinner plate, and that's way easier to hit.
Yeah. Aim small, miss small. Yeah.
But
I didn't understand what that meant at all the first time I saw that. I was like, what does he mean? And then, a little older, I was like, fucking retard. Obviously.
Yeah. That, of course, is from the Patriot, Mel Gibson, teaching his sons to kill the British. Great scene. He's just hacking them up. That fucking tomahawk.
He's very
Didn't
good
he
at
have
British
like a really
killing.
brutal movie come out recently that's supposed to be good? Mel Gibson, like a really violent one or something?
No, I don't believe so. He had a movie come out fairly recently, but I don't know that it was super violent or anything.
Jojo Rabbit. I was thinking of Hacksaw Ridge. That was a real good movie. I liked
Hacksaw Ridge is great.
Yeah, that was good.
Is that Tom Holland?
Yes.
Is it? Tom Holland's the Spider-Man, right? Am I crazy?
He was Spider-Man.
He's no longer?
Oh, is he not Spider-Man
Isn't
anymore?
it James Garfield? Or do I have him reversed?
Or no, Andrew Garfield is in...
Okay, it's Garfield was in Hacksaw, but he was the Spider-Man, but they replaced him with Tom Holland, who's the young fella.
Right, okay. He's actually not as young as... Well, I can't fact check it, but I think he's older than we think, that he just appears really young.
Yeah, he's supposed to be 16, but I would guess he's 22 or something at least. But that's how most movies are, you know.
Yeah.
It's rare that you see kids and you're like, oh, that is a fucking kid. Holy shit.
I'm not very sure about it. I guess I when I saw his age, I was surprised because I thought he was genuinely young. But
it's like when I first started watching that 70s show, I like
23.
on like the first scene where I saw Donna, I was like, whose mom is that? And I was like, oh, she's supposed to be Eric's girlfriend.
Oh,
Eric looks like
he just doesn't wear makeup.
Stepmother.
Come on.
She also had like a woman's body, right? She didn't look teenagery at all.
She's very tall as well. Yeah, she's a big girl.
Tall and like,
she's
I don't know. Girls go through it sometimes as a teenager. Girls through this like bone skinny period, you know, where they're gangly and stuff. She was long past that. She was like voluptuous.
Yeah, Mila Kunis was like 16 or something when she started that show, making out with like a 30-year-old Ashton Kutcher.
Is that true?
Yeah. She was underage when she started the show, and she just lied about her age.
What?
Yeah,
I didn't know that.
Yeah,
I didn't know Ashton was that old either.
I know that guy.
Be like
I know
42 now, I would say.
Yeah, Ashton. He dated Demi Moore for a long time, and she was like, I'm making up numbers, 20 years older than he was, or something.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. She was a looker, though. Probably still is.
She held up well. Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, I don't know how she's held up lately, but she held up well during their relationship. I'm sure she went a little rotten and he dropped her.
Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah. What's he been doing? Is he in anything now? Ashton Kutcher?
Or did
he take his Is that 70s show money and Bounce, his butterfly effect. Shit.
I think
he's in some
on a
show
TV
on Netflix.
Yeah, The Ranch, right?
Oh yeah, I scroll past that and I'm like, man, that looks awful.
I think he almost works full time trying to prevent human slavery or something like that. Does that ring a bell?
Now I feel like a jerk.
No, like
I've been working against him this whole time.
He's over in Libya, like, I'll take the girl. And like, $45, sir. And he's like, not so fast. I'm Action Butcher.
And you got punked. Yeah. We're taking your whole inventory.
Does this mean I get to go free? No. I need to sign this release, though. Yeah, just make your mark. Whatever.
I'm Johnny Knoxville, and this is blow up a open air slave market. Yeah. So we went into my dad's bedroom and put him in a helicopter, and we're flying him to the middle of Libya in the middle of the night. Dude, look at that fucking fat ass Phil chained up there with the other slaves.
Don
Tell
Vito
him we're
was
not
like
going to buy him
molester.
back. Yeah.
Don Vito.
Yeah, Don Vito ended up being a real creep.
Bam Margera's like uncle or something like that.
Is he the fat one that he always like abused in his sleep and stuff?
No, that was his dad.
Oh, okay.
His dad seems like a wholesome guy who just didn't want to get fucked with by his son. But Don Vito was like into. Was he like a creep with of age girls, or was he a?
I think he was a child molester. I think he actually went after actual.
Well, how young were they?
3, 4.
Oh, I don't even know if they remember it. I feel like there's a sweet spot where it's best, when they're like 17 and they can consent, or when they're 2 and they don't remember, right? Everyone knows
so
this.
In 2006,
3 felony counts.
Yeah, he was arrested on suspicion of inappropriately touching 2 12-year-old girls.
That's the bad
a handsome
zone.
mugshot, though.
Is it?
Yeah.
He's always got one eye on the prize.
I absolutely will. Hang on. I want to get the image, not necessarily the article. It'll just take a moment.
He made for some funny content in those movies. I wish that none of those guys at Jackass ever got their drug problems under control selfishly.
Oh,
so they would still be doing that.
Just in a weird type of
I don't know virus you send in.
I don't know why it looked like that. It was so many characters that it like gave me a warning. But in any case, it's just a.
Oh well, it's all good. Did you guys see the stock market? Have you look at it all?
I saw it was down 1,000 points or something.
So it was down 1,000 points yesterday and almost 900 today. And together it's down almost 2,000. And it's the worst 2-day drop in like the history of the stock market. But that's point wise. Percentage wise, if I were to guess something, like the Great Depression, that fell off was bigger. Mm-hmm. But point wise, it's the biggest. And
what's the cause of it?
Coronavirus.
The coronavirus.
Yeah, it scares about the coronavirus. I guess a lot of China has, just shut down. They stopped going to work. They're trying to stop people from meeting together so that they stop spreading this, and that's taken a huge hit on their productivity. Of course, they make America's goods and the world's goods. And then, of course, they're going to stop earning money over there, and they're just afraid that that's going to have a ripple effect. I didn't act on it, but when it went down yesterday, I'm like, it's a buying opportunity, lock in. And then I was like, I should have moved faster. And then it went down again. So, buying opportunity? I don't know. But
yeah, why would it be? I mean, it's not like you're going to lose money. It's always going up. It's just it trends up.
It trends up, yeah. Sometimes it goes down.
But it'll go back up,
But it's down. I'm going to make up numbers. Something like 6% over the last 2 days. They go down 40% sometimes.
Tell you what, I bought some thermal goggles in Tarkov, right?
Mm-hmm.
They were 7 million rubles a piece, and I bought 2 pair.
Mm-hmm.
Then they did a drop event. Bottom fell out of the market. Went to 1.8 million.
Mm.
Everybody was scared. They didn't know what to do. You know what Kyle did? He bought 15 more pair.
Damn.
15 more pair at 1.8 million rubles a piece. Right now, 6 million rubles a pair.
Back in the black. Nice.
I took half of my savings, put it all into Cole's cash.
All into thermal goggles.
I took my whole savings. I dumped it into thermal goggles in real life.
You know what? I'm taking a big risk that Pogs are coming back.
Oh, I still have my Beanie Babies. They'll bounce. They'll rebound.
And my Pogs. I'm investing in the tulip market.
Did you see that meme where somebody it was like
the divorce?
They were like, it was like a picture of a Beanie Baby, and they're like, the Beanie Babies from the mid '90s that were, of course, filled with spider eggs are finally hatching out. And they had an image of like spiders just crawling like crazy out of a ruptured Beanie Baby. And somebody in the comments was like, for real?
You've probably seen the picture of the man and the woman in court, like a family court, dividing up their Beanie Babies.
Yeah, like on the floor.
So it inspired me to go to eBay and just like look at Beanie Babies. There are still expensive Beanie Babies out there on eBay. I don't know if they're selling. Like I didn't look.
What was the priciest one you found?
So right off the bat, $1,500, $2,500.
I've still got all mine.
That's real money. I mean, yeah.
Here's another 1,000. Here's a 2,000. So that's top end right out of the gate. 2,500 is the most priciest. But man, some of these Beanie Babies look cute. I wouldn't pay $600 though.
Wouldn't pay a dime. Wouldn't pay a dime. It's a little fuzzy animal that I'm not supposed to even fucking touch or give to an animal or anything. It wouldn't pay a dime.
We've got.
I remember
little
going
George
to
Foreman in the house.
Full of them.
I'd pay a dime.
They used to give out gold-plated Pokemon cards.
I remember those.
Yeah. And I remember going through and getting my little Charizard, Pokemon like metal, gold thing, and in my 8-year-old head, I'm like, I can't believe McDonald's is being so foolish. I'm set. They're giving me gold. Now, if I could just get my mom or my grandma to take me every day, I could have enough gold. It was just like,
it was also like that. The 101 Dalmatian marketing thing. Like McDonald's had the little Dalmatians. And of course, there's 101 of them motherfuckers, and they all have different names and biographies. And it's like, do you know how many Happy Meals this is going to require? This is so many Happy Meals. I'm not even happy about it anymore. Just every time, it's just like, please, can we go to McDonald's? Please, please, please. Yeah, I don't even want the food. Just give me the toy. Just give me the toy. Can I get 2 toys and no hamburger? Yeah. Like my sister would get the chicken Happy Meal. I get the fucking hamburger Happy Meal, extra pickles, extra mustard, and I was so happy. Oh, it's fucking Pongo! Oh shit!
I like to imagine the copy editor that absolutely killed himself when he was assigned, all right, we just need you to come up with 101 unique bios for 101 different fictional dogs. And he's sitting there like, oh, all right, dog number 3, this is fucking Bozo, and oh, honey, I can't go to your mother's tonight. It's not because of an excuse. I have 97 more bios to come up with.
Dude,
I'm gonna leave the gun on my desk all evening. Yeah, bring the second bottle of scotch, hun. Yeah.
You said McDonald's made a mistake. They actually did when I was a kid. It was the 1984 Olympics, and maybe you know this. They on the side of everything, on the side of their hamburger, their drink, and their French fries, you take this little thing off, and depending on what the Americans got in the Olympics, you would get Olympics, stuff. Right? It was summer, and
84.
Do I have this? I think I have this right in LA, right?
You're absolutely right. Yeah.
So, anyway, all you'd have to do is like bundle together 99 cents, get to McDonald's and buy like a fry or a small fry. And then what happened was all the communists boycotted the American Olympics. In 80, we boycotted the Moscow Olympics. In 84, they boycotted the American Olympics. So we won fucking everything. Sometimes we get gold, silver, and bronze in these events because there were like the East Germans weren't there, the Russians weren't there. I don't know about Chinese; they probably sucked at sports at the time, but like we were crushing it. We've never had that many things. So you get a small fry, and like you'd get something else, and you take it off, and you're like, oh, we got gold and bronze on this one. I'll take a burger and a drink, and then it's like the burger and the drink come off. Like, we got 2 golds and a silver out of these. Food would just pile on and pile on.
It's like a Magic the Gathering combo. And then I will play free and then I will parlay the free McChicken into a small fry. And you're just standing there and they're like, he's on an infinite loop.
By the way, I'm evolving the Big Mac to a combo.
Yes, my double quarter pounder with cheese does have trample, so I'll have.
I'm gonna tap my medium Coke twice.
Yeah, I'm gonna tap my medium Coke, and then I will return all this food for cash value.
No, not the Trump card.
And
That's
then I
right.
will use that $600 to buy 600 more small things. Some poor McDonald's employee.
Throw the board.
You
Do you know the whole controversy about the Monopoly game that McDonald's had?
Where it was rigged for a while, right? Not rigged, but like somebody on the inside.
Dude, so that was what they said, and that's what I believed. There's a whole thing on HBO. I think it's like a multi-part series where they break down what happened with the Monopoly shit. The mob was involved.
Really?
The mob was involved with scamming the Monopoly millions. They were like siphoning it to family members who they would have change their names in like in Tampa, maybe Florida. I know it was in Florida, and like they were winning it all. Like nobody won. Nobody won. I always heard that some guy on the inside was like making his friend win and then donating to charity or something like that.
I'd hear
There's a whole documentary about how the mob is involved, and like I guess the mobster's wife was going to come clean. Well, she got Jeffrey Epstein. She was crossing the road and a truck came by and whoopsie daisy. And now they don't have any more witnesses.
My favorite was
because the road happened to be her front yard and her residence.
Pepsi did a thing. You guys probably know this one too. Pepsi did a thing where like if you had enough bottle tops, you could get different events. Yeah. One of them was a Harrier jump jet. And some guy did the math on it. And it was like, I'm going to make up numbers, but it's like, for $500,000, I can get a $22 million jet. I'm in. and he did it. And Pepsi was like, it was obviously a joke. He's like, no joke. Give me the jet. I don't know how it ended.
What'd they do?
I think they had to give him cash. I think they had to pay him off. There was another one that was...
That's so funny.
There was some kind of a car giveaway. Oh, what was the fucking
Toyota.
Oh, yeah. So it was... She won a Toyota.
It's like a radio
and they
contest
hand her a
with
toy.
These DJs that were zany.
So instead, they give her a toy Yoda. Mm-hmm. And she's like, bullshit, I'm suing. I want a fucking Corolla, you. And they had to give her one. Yeah.
That's like the from Dumb and Dumber where he's like, no, I said I'd give you 10 doll hairs. And they're laughing. The kid's like, where are my 10 doll hairs? He's like, here's a 20.
Have you ever won anything off a radio show or like? Have you ever won anything at all?
So hard. They were giving away a 1955 Chevrolet back when I was homeschooled, and my dad and I would be in the truck every morning, so we'd listen to the same radio show like every morning, like without fail. Which is kind of, I guess, if you commute, you would catch 30 minutes of it, but because we're hunting, we're up right when it starts, and we're getting like 2 full hours of it, like on the way to the spot and on the way back, and just sitting in the, getting warm in the truck or whatever. And they were giving away a 55 Chevrolet, like perfectly restored. And they played this game where you had to name the sound, and it would be zany. It'd be like stapling something to a marker board or something. It'd be like what's that noise? And like it would go on for weeks. No one's guessing the noise. And we've got like a pen and a pad in the car. And I'm like, maybe it's a coffee mug being slid back and forth on a table. I was always calling in, trying to get that thing.
Yeah, I've never called into a radio show.
I've called in a few times.
I won tickets once. That was cool. We won a Newlywed Game thing once. It wasn't a radio show. It was an in-person thing at a bar that was neat.
What'd you get?
A vibrator, lube, free dinner at the bar, and I don't know, some other stuff like that. It was fun.
I won a poker night once at a bar. And it was just like a free meal, like vouchers for the restaurant because you couldn't use real money. It was like a tournament.
No, I'm
I haven't really won much. Yeah. It's I haven't won a lot of things. I had my dad had a friend, and he would always win this nonsense. He'd go to these things called buckaramas, and what it is, it's like a big hunting convention. And they have at those convention centers, and it's huge. And every product that has to do with hunting and fishing would be represented there. There'd be booths and stuff. You could see the brand new Johnsonville fucking bass boat, and the new Mossberg 12 gauge, and the new duck decoys with the vibrating wings, and all that shit would be there. And they'd have those raffles everywhere. There's a raffle, and this guy would just always buy tons of raffle tickets at every single thing. He was always winning. It was shocking to the point where like we wondered like if he had an in with somebody, like if he's cheating, like he won a like he wasn't just winning like a hat, like he won a boat one year, like a fucking.
Did he buy a
bass
lot
boat.
of tickets?
Not so many that it like added
That
up
it
to
made
like,
sense. Yeah.
Yeah, he didn't buy $5,000 worth of tickets. Like maybe he bought $500.
Yeah, because I could win every lottery if I just buy all the combos.
Yeah, I see what you mean. But then later on, he did statute of limitations. So he did this. They had this contest for who kills the biggest buck that year. And it's a huge prize pool. It's really big deal. Like I don't remember you win tens of thousands of dollars plus like a rifle and sometimes even a truck. Like, and there's lots of people into this thing. It's like for like a whole state or a whole region. And so what the guy did, he had a deer in his backyard in a pen that he was raising for years.
Oh,
feeding it this, and it was mean as fuck. You'd go back there and it'd like try to get at you with the antlers. And he was feeding it like good, like nutrition's very important for like getting a big like rack. And there's a lot of dimensions that they measure. There's a scoring system. It has to do with the diameter of the antler, the inside width measurement, the outside, the height, symmetry is a thing, the number of points.
Yeah.
And there's this complicated equation that comes up with a number. Oh, that's a 297 buck, you know, and I want to say that would be excellent. Like I it's been a long time since I've been into that stuff, but 250 to 350 is just top tier kind of stuff. They give you a lie detector though with this contest. The prize pool is so big, and they ask the question: did you kill this? Did you harvest this deer in the lawful and whatever act of like actually hunting? You know, they want to make sure that you're the one who got this thing, and you didn't cheat or somehow you didn't go to some farm somewhere, or like you didn't go out of state and like take some other Buckarama winner's deer and freeze it and bring it in here. So he knew that was coming. So he got in his camouflage. he put his orange vest on. He got his climbing deer stand. He climbed up in a tree in his backyard. Sat down. Measured the horizon, took note. Oh, look at that. My backyard where it's Bonzo, the deer who's been living here for the last 5 years.
Cage.
He stood up, bam, fucking blew Bonzo away, climbed down, took out his license, went, punched it, put it back in his pocket, and he won the Buckarama that year.
Kyle,
man, what a classy way to win.
If you wanted to bring back a giant deer, where would you go? Are they bigger out west? Are they huge in Mexico? Like big up north?
Well, there's different breeds of deer throughout North America. Most of the Southeast has white-tailed deer, and those are one of the smaller species body-wise. The mule deer and the black-tailed deer that live more northernly are just a kind of a completely different species. It's like or at least a different breed. It's like comparing like Holstein cows with like Brahmas or Black Angus or something like that. But out in Texas, they have really big deer. The main thing is nutrition and lineage. You know, if this deer's daddy had a big rack or whatever. So out in Texas, they have probably the biggest deer on those big ranches. You know, like they breed them out there and they feed them continuously. There's feeders out there giving them this really nutritious feed that's sort of designed to promote antler growth and make them big. And
that'd probably make them go there. Like I imagine if I went near the feeders, I'd find deer.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. Smart lad.
It's bullshit.
I'm ready to hunt.
It's bullshit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would
even Bobby Hill knew it.
I'd come back. I could win that deer competition by going to the wrong spot.
No, son, it doesn't.
No, it doesn't, son. Why do you say I'll let you drive the car?
Yeah.
That
was a good episode.
Yeah, they're all good. Classic ass show.
Lenore.
Lenore. Yeah, just fucking shit.
I want some guy to kill a moose and just insist it's a deer. You know, like, what? Don't you try and tell me that's not a deer.
I think technically they are deer, but I know what you mean. Yeah,
I got myself a nice 450.
This is the white-tailed deer contest, sir, and that thing doesn't even fit in your pickup truck. It's in the tractor bucket. Get the hell out of here. Where did you find a moose in South Carolina?
It was here Fuck you. I win. Give me my money.
This is tagged.
That's a white-tailed moose right there. Just because
You
you don't know your deer, that's not my problem.
Now, I'm not calling you a liar, but according to our system, this fella was in Manitoba 4 days ago.
I got any zebra? Y'all got any zebra? Sir, that is a horse with spray painted crap. God damn.
And it looks like you bought cream or some kind of taupe to finish it. It doesn't even look right.
Yeah, I don't like the way that whole hunting thing goes down. I guess I don't care necessarily about the the animals being killed, because the end result is that they have a habitat to live in that they otherwise wouldn't have. And
you get to eat them.
Well, sometimes they eat them or whatever. I don't really like to eat them. But like the thing is, I guess I think less of the people who go there and kill them and think they've accomplished a thing, because you haven't. You've done nothing. It's like going fishing in a pond that's just been completely stocked full. Near where I grew up, there's a catfish farm, like where they grow them, and they grow them in these gigantic. They're like Olympic-sized swimming pools, and on one side they have this big sort of paddle boat wheel. Have you ever seen like those paddle boats that have the big spinny thing on the back, and that aerates the water, right? So the fish can breathe. And then there's these automatic feeders that like sprinkle food out there, and they're just in a concrete.
You drop a line, you'll catch something.
And people would do that, and I'm thinking like they would like sneak out there and like catch a few and be like, I caught 8 last night. And I was like, how did you not catch 1,000? You're an asshole. Like if you're like, don't brag about doing.
I caught 100 at a time with a net. What's wrong with you?
Yeah. Because like when I grew up hunting, like we would go and like scout out locations, like we and like walk through the woods and look for deer sign where that they rub trees in a certain way, and you can tell by the size of the tree that a deer rubs how big the deer is, because a little deer rubs a little tree, and a big deer can get its antlers around a big tree. So you can tell if he's rubbing a tree that's like this fucking big, like 8-9 inches wide. It's like, oh, that's a pretty fucking big deer. And we'd scout those things out and find their trails and climb up in trees and wait for hours every day for weeks and weeks to kill deer. And then these people go and like out of Texas or whatever and pay to like go up in a tree with a guide and be like, all right, it's 7:30. They'll be here in a minute.
Yeah.
Yep. There he is. That's Larry right there. Yep.
I think Joe
Larry
Rogan does something.
See, they're not
between.
Afraid because they're so trusting.
Rogan goes to Colorado and hunts things in the open, but he does hire a guide. He described himself as a blue belt, which for people don't know, that's one above white belt at hunting. He's like, so he's a hunter, but he's not an expert. So he brings a black belt out there with him to help him find the.
Well, he only does it for the natural testosterone boost you get for eating elk meat.
Yeah. He also uses a bow, which I admire. I think that's the cool way to do it. And I think a lot of times there are some things that you hunt by tracking. Like I'm not an expert. Mostly I hunted white-tailed deer and some birds and like varmints and predators and stuff like that. But I think if you're hunting caribou, like you blow this big bugle horn and call them and they bugle back, and then you start tracking them, and you might end up walking 10 miles like over tall hills up and down until you spot them with binoculars, and then you try to get around them in such a way that they don't smell you, and you shoot them. So it's a whole thing.
There has to be a better idea, like an electric skateboard for the woods.
Well, right? You just hop in a helicopter if you're just looking to kill.
Trying to find a happy medium. Walking 10 miles is a job.
Yeah, that's what the guy who owns the Tannerite company, Dan Tanner, he lives on this fucking mountaintop in Oregon, and he's a fucking wild man. Like he's got a bear feeder in his yard to bring the bears in to his yard, and like he's in his man cave, which is like it's like above his garage. He's got like this, I don't know, it's about the size of a nice sized living room. There's like a pool table and a bar, like a legitimate bar, and like fridge and cool shit on the walls and guns and stuff. But over by the window, and it's one of those windows that like swings out like real wide, there's like a shooting bench with a Barrett 50 cal with a suppressor on it aimed out toward the bear feeder. And he'll just sit up there and drink whiskey and wait on a bear to come into the yard. Well,
That seems like the least sporting way to kill a bear.
Well, he's killing a bear. He's just wanting to kill. He's one of the most hardcore wild men I've ever seen. Like when I got there, his wife just had given birth at home, and he had the afterbirth in a trash bag in the back of his truck. I seen it.
What was he gonna do with it?
Bear bait, right?
Bear bait.
I mean,
I'm thinking like, do we really want to give him a taste of us? Like maybe should you just burn that or something? Or
it'll be his last taste of anything.
But he would go on those hikes like I described, like 10 miles, he said, and he would use thermal binoculars, and he would spot I think it was elk. He would spot the elk at night, like early morning, like 4 a.m., 5 a.m. when the sun had not come up. And then he would stalk them for hours until he got within range of his rifle. And he would shoot the thing 10 miles from home. He'd go out there and butcher it and fill his pack up with butchered meat and then walk it back home the 10 miles. And I'm like, aren't there a mountain lion up here? He's like, oh yeah. Aren't you worried one might attack you? He'd be like, that'd be a hell of a way to go, wouldn't it? And I was like, are you hoping that one will attack you? That's what it sounded like right now.
Didn't you just have a child? Yeah.
Mountain lions are the reason I got my first gun. I used to go off-roading all the time. And just the way it was, I was farther than other people. So sometimes I get up there the night before. I couldn't leave that morning and arrive that morning. And I'm camping in the woods all by myself. Every little, like, stepping on a branch that breaks it, I'm in my tent. What's out there breaking branches? What is that? Yeah. I distinctly heard it. I'm thinking I'm by myself in the deep woods, right? There's nothing here. It's primitive camping. And I hear human voices. What am I going to do? There's two of them. Like I could never beat up two people. Like
gotta be like, roar!
That's as good a plan as I got a
two guys over there like, I knew it, Larry. That's Sasquatch. Get your gun. You're like, there's two sets. That's a female.
Yeah. Sasquatch. See, Larry, they're like Pokemon. They can only say their own name. That's a real one. That's a real one out there.
Pika.
Yeah, let's go back and get Cletus for backup.
Worst case scenario, it's just some city feller. We'll rake the shit out of him.
Squeal.
Yeah.
Dude,
Now, this can't be the third time one week we come across a rapeable northerner.
That was the thing. They weren't even northerners. Those people in Deliverance were so backwoods that some white fellas from Atlanta were city boys. Like, that was enough.
They were city boys. Was Burt Reynolds a city boy?
Burt Reynolds was hardcore. Like he was the Chad of the group, right? Yeah, like first of all, he's wearing nothing but a leather vest or something, and like no shirt underneath. And he's in great shape, and he's Burt Reynolds. He's great looking, and he's talking all sorts of. He's like, sometimes you got to lose yourself to find the way. And John Voight's like, the fuck are you smoking? Are you crazy?
I'm with Voight on this one.
Yeah, it didn't make any sense. But he said something just like, sometimes you got to lose yourself to find the way. And it's like, we're just going canoeing.
Why
right?
was Burt Reynolds so well equipped for this problem? Like,
equipped for what problem?
At backwards people and
they weren't equipped at all. They just had
that's what
he just had I think the only one of them that had any weaponry was John Voight, and I think he just had his bow and arrow. He just had like a regular old, maybe it was even a recurve. I don't.
But he was equipped in terms of the skill set. Burt Reynolds won the day.
No, I don't know if you remember Deliverance well.
It's possible that I don't. It's maybe the first time I foul up my movie recognition. But
so right off the bat, Burt Reynolds gets taken out of the ball game, right? Because the hillbillies start shooting at him from up on the rocks while they're canoeing, and they all get like topsy turvy down waterfalls, and Burt Reynolds breaks his leg severely, and so now it's Ned Beatty, the most beta of the whole group, and John Voight.
Who's the skinny one? The Ned Beatty?
John Voight Ned Beatty's chunky.
Okay.
And John Voight is, he's John Voight. And then there's another guy like real nerdy with glasses. And so the nerdy guy with glasses and Ned Beatty are down there just being pussies. Like, well, I don't know what we're gonna do. It's just awful cold and wet. And John Voight's like, gotta go up on them rocks. and he fucking climbs the rocks up there like a wild man with his bow, and he kills the fucking redneck, the last redneck that's left behind, and gets him out of there. But then when they get out, everybody's cousins up there, so they're like, the sheriff's like, he's got the fucking hillbilly. He's like, he had a cousin up there that was doing some hunting, went missing a few days back. Y'all didn't see him, did you? No, can't say we did. He seems to think you did. You calling me a liar, Sheriff? Well, no, I wouldn't go that far. But I'm watching. It's super intense because they're just about to flood the valley and turn it into hydroelectric lake. So they all know that like the evidence will be gone soon.
Yeah.
We've killed these two good old boys in the backwoods. We got to get the fuck out of here. Yeah, it's a
I didn't see that until this year, or I guess last year. It's a great movie.
I've seen it a couple times. It's when I saw it as a kid, it really fucked with me. I was maybe 13 or 14, and I just remember it gave me that like nauseous, sort of sick to your stomach feeling.
Yeah.
Like it was such a thriller, and there was so much adrenaline going that like I got like an adrenaline dump of like oh, I feel kind of sick now.
That's what I like in a movie. It doesn't have to be that feeling. It's the fact that it inspires a real genuine feeling. Like that's one of the ways that I evaluate movies. And like, yeah, Jaws made the ocean seem scary. Deliverance makes the woods seem like an unsafe place to be.
Yeah. And you know, I don't know. I've never felt scared in the woods necessarily. Cause like if anybody's doing any raping in the woods, it's probably going to be me. but I never got scared in the woods. I don't think ever. But there were times where like I feel like if I had let myself get a little scared, started thinking thoughts that I could have scared myself, because you know you're out there by yourself.
Yeah, it's easy for the mind to wander.
It'll be completely dark, and you can get turned around out there pretty easily. And like most of the places I hunted, if you just walk in a straight line, or you use a star or the moon to find a straight line, I'm not saying I'm navigating celestially, but just walking a straight line, I can accomplish that with the moon. I'll eventually hit a road. But still, I was in a place one time where it was like government land, and we'd never been there before. And we walked for like 2 miles out in the woods, and then we got up in trees. And one of the guys had like one of those old school navigation things, like a nav, like a hiker's navigation.
GPS, are we saying?
Like satellite.
Okay. Yeah. This is before cell phones did that shit. And we go to walk out, and he's like, shit. I'm like, what do you mean shit? He's like, batteries are dead. And I'm like, well, because you had that, none of us even took that mental note of like where we went and how we turned. And there was a real case for us having to spend the night out in the wilderness for a while. We walked for an hour before we got out. And there was a while where it was just like, you're just hot and sweaty. It's like southern Georgia nighttime. And you're carrying a deer stand and a rifle, and you're wearing camouflage. And it's just like, we shouldn't have came with these jackasses, Dad.
Yeah.
They hunt twice a month. Why are we with these people? They don't know what the fuck they're doing. Why is he even leading us right now? You know he doesn't know where he's going. just thought we're gonna have to eat him.
Well, I'm not wasting my deer meat. Yeah.
If it comes down to it, I know who's getting eaten, and it wasn't us.
It was the jackass who didn't bring an extra AA for his fucking sat nav.
Yeah, it can get scary out there for real though. I don't know. I out in Texas, we would go out on like little stalks where we would just start walking in the moonlight with like a semi-automatic rifle and a night vision monocular, and there are mountain lions there, so it was like, hope that doesn't.
We don't get eaten.
Yeah, that was a legitimate concern. It was like, but it made it cool, right? There was a little bit of danger. Like, you'd probably not. Like, we could probably do this 100 times and nothing would happen. But I don't know if we could do it 300 times without anything happening. And so just kind of walking out in the middle of nowhere, and really bright, like imagine the brightest full moon ever, and there's no light pollution out there. So, I mean, shadows are being cast by the moon, but still, it's just like, man, if he fucking jumps out at us, we got to be ready here. Yeah. But that was more exciting than scary. I don't know. That was fun.
I've never been in a bad woods situation like that I can think, but I've been in the ocean. Like we used to go jet skiing all the time. We made some bad decisions. Like I want to say that I forget whose jet ski was which, but one of them, they have a bilge pump in there. So if water gets in the engine compartment, that it'll just pump that back out. And but his had, I think it was his, had a crack in the hull. So if the motor turned off for some reason, his jet ski would sink. Mine, it didn't start properly. So if my motor turned off, then it wouldn't restart. Well, we just both assumed that we'd go out jet skiing, jumping waves in the ocean, and be flawless. Neither of us would ever fall all day long. That's not how it went. And we get out there, and I forget who went down first, but in any case, we were getting sucked out to the ocean, just like hanging onto jet skis, one of them half submerged, without really a plan. Like, so the ocean level's dropping, and you have two islands, and the water's just rushing out from the bay to the ocean. And no human could swim against a current like that. Like we couldn't even stand in it. The water was like nipple deep, maybe neck deep at times. Like we would pass shallower areas, and you couldn't resist it. You just kept getting sucked against your will. And eventually, some fishermen saw us on our way to our death and towed us back in.
Like one of Kevin Spacey's victims getting sucked against his will.
Yeah.
Yeah,
speaking of victims, I saw Weinstein got found guilty of third-degree rape.
How do they get him for?
How many
What does that
counts?
mean?
I think two or three
in
counts.
Yeah.
I just know that like one of the charges he was found guilty of was like third-degree rape, and I think maybe sexual assault as well or something like that. I wonder what kind of time that comes along with.
He's rich enough. He'll get off.
I was going the other way.
He'll go in some bullshit like rich person jail and fall out of the news cycle, and then
over under 2 years.
Over.
Oh, I'd say over 2 years.
I'd take
enough
over
time
6.
for it to.
He's an old man in bad health.
How is he, or is he just pretend? Is he
Walker aside? Like he doesn't look healthy. He doesn't pass the eye test. I don't need to hear that man's heart to know that it's not doing well in there.
Yeah. But the Walker thing is pretty hilarious.
How old is he?
I'm gonna guess 67 years old.
Oh, okay. I pegged him in his 50s, but I have no confidence.
67. Wow.
Wow. Okay.
He is not a good looking 67.
Right? He's the kind of guy that might only make 70, 72.
Yeah.
I mean, Cosby's making it a long time.
But Cosby's a little healthier than that guy.
Yeah, somehow.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Cosby was never as fat as Weinstein.
In the rape.
So yeah, I guess I think that his money and power will get him into a better prison, but I think he's going to get over 6 years, maybe over 10.
Whoo! I don't even know. Let me look at. Is it federal? It's got to be state. Well, it's got to be state.
What is third degree rape?
Yeah, California.
Good question.
What the hell does that mean?
Third degree rape sentence. Let's see what comes up. Oh shit. Oh, he could get apparently the sexual assault charge is the serious one. That's up to 25 years. The third degree rape count is only punishable up to 4 years. So he's facing a potential 29-year sentence. Ooh.
Well, hopefully he gets every bit of it.
I fact checked for a second, but it said no less than 5 years and up to 25 on my source. So that's in line with what you said. But the no less than 5 I thought was new information.
Yeah. That's interesting.
Maybe he'll flee. He's got a bunch of money. He can hide somewhere.
Maybe an
is
island
he free
somewhere.
enough for that?
I do not know. I'm
he's out on
just
bail. You know,
throwing
he's
spaghetti at the
walking
wall
to
here.
and from. I don't know why more people don't flee. Like if you could put $1 million in a bag and have somewhere where
damn, Kyle, is this the time for this conversation? I've plotted it out.
Look, Bolivia is a wonderful place.
Yeah,
I put a little bit of a tan on. I could look Bolivian. Get out of here.
I mean, but you're right. Like you would think these like multi like hundreds of millions of dollars guys would just take their chances and be like, yeah, I'm running to some country with no extradition treaty.
I do wonder what would have happened to me if like during that interim between my state charges being dropped and the federal charges being put forward, I was a free man, 100%. There were no charges against me anywhere. Mm-hmm. What could I have done during that period of time to like better my situation? Like if I had moved to Colorado, would I have then been in a separate district? And like would I have had to deal with a completely different federal prosecutor? Or would my case just revert back to Georgia and they're like, show back up in Georgia for charges? What if I had gone to Canada? What if I completely repatriated to Canada?
would they have an extradition treaty with us, so they would have deported you.
But do they do that? Like if I'm just being charged with a marijuana crime in the United States, do they extradite me out of Canada? Is that how that works?
I don't know. I don't know
either.
Here's what I do know. My paramotor instructor, shortly before he taught me, actually crashed into another pilot. His propeller blended that pilot's wing at about 300 feet. The other pilot had no reserve, came smashing to the ground. I don't know how many bones he broke or how long he was in that coma, but it was serious. I know this guy. He still flies, actually. He walks with the cane or on crutches.
He flies commercial now.
He has a trike. He launches and lands on wheels. I saw him at the ocean, and he needed his cane just to walk in the ocean. Like there was no letting go.
Man, canes are terrible in the sand.
Yeah, I saw him, and he's like, yeah, they're gonna have to go back in and replace like a section of bone, kind of like an amputation, where like they chop top and bottom bone and put something like titanium in it, like have a little section. He's fucked. Anyway, I don't know if he sued the instructor because he had to or because insurance forced him to or whatever. But that instructor moved to Germany. And it seemed related to what you were talking about, improving your situation. He's just
I'm not
gone.
suggesting I'm definitely not suggesting that I would have like become a fugitive from justice or anything like that. But I'm just wondering, was there a workaround during that brief interim where I was a free man where I just said, you know what? I'm going to go to Canada. I'm going to be a Canadian now. Or I'm going to go to wherever, France or the UK. Like I wonder if I had that option at that period and could have gotten free of all the nonsense.
I don't know. Seems like that would have been like quite literally a get out of jail free card move. But could it be that simple? Where they're like, I live in Canada now, bitch. And George is like, fuck.
Shucks.
Shit.
Well, it was, again, it's federal charges too. So that's a horse of a different color because, the state charges were dropped.
Would the feds be more or less motivated if you left the country? Would they be like, fuck. Like, are we going to mess with all this? This is a pain in the ass for a possession charge. Or would they be like, now we really want him.
Let's call the Mounties.
Right? I don't know.
Yeah,
we're sorry. There's no way to catch up on our mounts. He's got a real car.
He can upwards of 30, 40 kilometers per hour.
I mean, I think he figured out there's only about 6 miles of real country here after the border, and then it's kind of just a wasteland. I mean, you got Edmonton up there somewhere, but fuck. You go and live in like Nunavut with a bunch of the Eskimos. Yeah, that's funny.
All right. Well, that's probably a good time to cut it off. You want to play some Tarkov in a little bit after this, Woody?
Yes, please. That sounds fun.
Yeah.
PKN 288.